This true-false question having to do with student accommodation requests, and we do have a form on our website where students provide a request for accommodations. Then someone from our office, and this is my role as the new director, can sit down with the student, really explore the nature of the disability if it is present. In some cases, to determine the need for accommodations based on any particular issue that may or may not be a formal disability. But we vet that through our office prior to sending that out to faculty. But students cannot request any accommodation. There are limitations on what we call reasonable accommodations. And reasonable is left intentionally vague in the legislation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, because we have to consider each student's request on an individualized basis. In other words, if you're a faculty member and you have a student come to you and they say, I have this disability and I require this accommodation, the best course of action is to refer them to my office and say, thank you for sharing that, please talk with Daniel about this. It's at that point that I will sit down with the student, and we cannot have a categorical, you cannot be in this program, or you cannot have that accommodation in this classroom. Each has to be considered on an individualized basis. And this has been borne out through legislation, through legal precedent. If programs try to say, this is our rule, there are no exceptions, when it comes to disability accommodations, that cannot be the case. Each must be considered individually. And so we will determine what's reasonable, again, to give that student equal access to the classroom setting, equal opportunity to demonstrate their knowledge in a given area. But programs need to have technical standards in place. Technical standards is a key word here. If you have a program to prepare a student to perform a specific job, a specific type of activity, once they graduate, you need to have technical standards defined and published related to your program, that a student must be proficient in this area and must be proficient in this area, so that if a student has struggles in an area and accommodations cannot be provided that allow the student to be able to perform that particular task or demonstrate mastery of that particular knowledge area, you need to have technical standards to fall back upon. An example that I read about recently was related to a nursing student, and this is not here at Avila, but this is in legal precedent, where that one of the requirements or the technical standards of the program was the ability to hear a heartbeat. So using a stethoscope, if a student would have a hearing disorder, maybe partially, or maybe deaf or hard of hearing, hearing a heartbeat might at the surface sound like an impossible task. But that language had to be changed to read the ability to detect a heartbeat, because there are visual stethoscopes, and those can actually provide more information about a heartbeat than hearing alone. And so in that case, those technical standards have to be written in a way that addresses and does not automatically exclude people based on certain types of disabilities, such as hearing disabilities.